What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to be lifting someone else's Crosstrek. It's not mine, but he reached out to me because he knows that I lifted my girlfriend's Crosstrek and put a couple pieces on it, so he wanted a little help with the setup. The whole goal is to get an additional 2.5 to 3 inches of ground clearance, so I picked a set of coilovers for him along with a new set of wheels and tires. So stay tuned if you want to check out the project and want to see the process.
Here's what she looks like in stock ride height. This one's a 2018 Premium with a 6-speed manual transmission. He is not just looking for a lift, but he also wanted more suspension travel, so I went with these rally style coilovers by FLATOUT Suspension. Check out their site for all the other Subaru applications they support. They do make different kinds of coilovers, but this set is the GR Lite. We're going to start by removing the factory suspension, which is very easy for this car. Very similar process as BRZs and STIs, WRXs. Starting with the front suspension, pretty straightforward. 3 nuts holding it at the strut tower. Sway bar end link, got to loosen. Remove your brake line and your wheel speed sensor, and the 2 bolts going to the knuckle. The rear suspension's even easier. You just remove the nuts and bolts from the bottom of the control arm and loosen all these supporting arms to make it easier to push down on the suspension to get the new coilovers in. If you are planning on raising the car over 2 inches, I highly recommend getting the Rallitek rear subframe spacer kit. Here's what the coilover kit looks like right out of the box. The springs do not come preloaded, so make sure you take care of that during the install. They come with these plastic sleeves on the bottom and the top of the springs to prevent spring bind noise. These longer bolts are for the rear subframe since you're putting spacers on, and these are spanner wrenches for the coilover purchase. The Rallitek spacers lower the rear subframe to help correct suspension geometry and also help prevent the rear tires from rubbing the fender wells under full droop. Now that we have the rest of the factory suspension removed, it's time to get started on the coilovers. Start by mounting the rear coilovers to the rear strut towers, and then adding spring load to both coilovers. The rear strut mounts are held on by 2 14mm nuts on each side. Here's what the rear coilover should look like, preloaded and fully installed with the control arms. Now it's time to get started on the front coilovers. Make sure you start with adding preload to this spring and setting the dampers to the middle. Here's what the front coilover should look like installed. There are 3 nuts at the strut tower, 2 big bolts at the knuckle, and don't forget to reinstall the sway bar end link, wheel speed sensor, and remount the brake line. The wheels we went with are the METHOD Racing MR702. These are 15 by 7 inch with a +15 offset. They weigh in at just over 18 pounds a piece, which is relatively light. If you do not want a tire pressure light on your dash, make sure you transfer the factory tire pressure sensors or purchase new ones. The tires we are going with are the Toyo Open Country AT3s, size 225 75/15. Make sure you get the wheels and tires balanced to prevent any vibrations at high speeds. And here's how the wheel and tire setup looks off the car. They're certainly much bigger. I think it's about 0.6, 0.7 inch overall diameter difference. With the new tires mounted on the car, we can finally start with the ride height adjustment. I highly recommend removing these mud guards for more tire clearance. Once you have the ride height where you want it, it's time to get a 4-wheel alignment. This is important to make sure that the driving dynamics does not get negatively affected. The specs we are following are by Rallitek, which is 0 camber front, 0 toe front, and minimal toe in for the rear. And here's what the final product looks like. definitely much more ground clearance. With the stock ride height, the fender to floor gap was 31 inches, but with this new setup, it measures out to be 33.7 inches, which totals out to about a 2.7 inch lift. With these new coilovers, the ride height is adjustable, so if he does want to go higher in the future, we are able to do so.
If you found any of this information useful, make sure you smash that like button. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. But for today, this is going to be it. Thank you for watching.